Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Victoria. I do videos on fashion, beauty, finally travel again now that we can officially travel around the world, and I guess now more recently family since I am expecting. So welcome to my channel, guys. I hope you're having an amazing day. I am here today to share with you kind of like a travel review of my Dior Book Tote. If you guys have watched my previous video, then you'll know that I recently bought this for myself as my birthday present this year and also as my upcoming diaper bag for our baby. And we just got back from our trip from Spain, so I wanted to share with you my experience actually using this tote as a travel bag, which is what I wanted to do with it originally instead, and then turning it into a baby diaper bag afterwards. So let's just jump right into the video of me reviewing this bag for travel. This was the first time I've ever taken this bag out officially on a trip. Actually, also the first time I ever really used the bag. Before this, it was sitting in its box and dust bag for the longest time, and I figured since I finally have a trip to bring it on, let's do it before the baby comes, because who knows when I'm gonna go on a trip again with this bag, and I really want to try it out to see how it would work as a little carry-on, and I'm just going to share with you my experience on it today. So I have the large book tote. This is in the reverse Toile de Jouy pattern. This is the one that was recently released, I think this past summer, spring. The original one is actually in a white canvas with blue embroidery on it, whereas this one is a blue canvas and white embroidery. So the reason I picked this specific color was because I knew that if I was going to be taking this traveling with me, I didn't want it to get dirty, and I've heard from friends who also have their own book totes in lighter colors that it tends to get dirty pretty easily because it is canvas and it picks up stains quite well. I can already see some wear and tear in the handles where I was holding it a lot, and I was just worried that if I got the lighter version, this would get super dirty on top, and also the bottom would get really dirty as well. So I'm actually really glad that I got the darker print, because this is going to make it a lot easier to hide all the stains or any sort of damage that I may get on this bag. So typically when I travel, I usually have my little rolling carry-on bag and also a backpack with me just to keep myself hands-free so that I can have my hands available to do stuff. And it was a huge risk actually taking this bag with me for the very first time, and actually for the longest trip we've ever been on, 18 days, because I didn't have a backpack to use as hands-free, and this would always either have to sit on top of my little carry-on luggage or on my shoulder or in my hands. So it definitely did not provide a hands-free experience. I did pack a collapsible backpack into my luggage so I could take it out to use it on the days when we were roaming around in Spain, so I could have my hands-free. My intention was not really to use this as my everyday bag while we were in Spain, but more or less as my kind of like substitute carry-on, I guess, personal piece. So that's essentially what I did. A couple things that I got as a takeaway from this. This is not going to be a review of the bag itself overall, but more as a review of using the bag as a travel bag, I guess, like a travel tote. I will definitely come back at a later point and review how I use this bag as a diaper bag and let you know if it's worthwhile, and then also review it as well as an everyday bag on its own to let you know if that also is worthwhile for the bag. But this is specifically for it as a travel tote. So a couple things I did want to mention. The bag itself is a little bit weighty. It's not super heavy. It is a very thick canvas, so it does have a bit of weight to it. So that's something that you do want to account for. If you do want to get the smaller one, it'll definitely be a little bit tighter, but I figured because it is a travel bag, I want it to be nice and big so I can put a lot of stuff into it. The other thing too is that there is no zip compartment on the top. This is a tote, so it is just like a giant hole. I have a purse organizer in here from Samorga right now, and I'll get to that in a second, but this is basically just like a giant tote bag. So security purpose wise, it's going to be really easy for people to slip their hands into here and take things in and out. If you drop your bag, things will fall out, that sort of thing. I personally didn't run into any issues at all with thefts or pickpockets when I was using this bag the entire time in Spain and on our trip, and I don't know, that's just my experience. If you guys have ever had any issues with people putting their hands inside of your bag or things falling out, let me know. But because I was concerned about that, I did get myself a Samorga insert. So I have the 1.22 millimeter insert here. I got the lighter color just because the inside of this tote bag is actually quite dark. So I wanted something nice and light just to A, make it easy for me to see what was inside, and also just B, it looked cute and it matched with the white. So I figured, why not? The inside's already dark, so there's no point in getting a darker color. But I did get this insert, and not only does this help me to shape the bag, it's already quite a firm bag to begin with, so it doesn't need that much shaping, but I wanted something to help hold the shape so it wouldn't collapse when I filled it with things. But this also has a lot of little compartments on the inside for me to organize, like my passport, my wallet, paperwork, that sort of thing. And the other thing I also really loved is that it has a little water bottle compartment here where you can just slip your water bottle in, and it holds it upright so it doesn't fall from side to side when you're moving your bag and carrying it around. The great thing about this insert too is that it actually has a zipper on the top. I actually never once used a zipper the entire time I was using the insert on the bag, but you can honestly just like pull it shut, and this seals a whole tote once you put this inside of the tote. I just left it open the whole time, but I liked having the zipper here. It just made it really easy, and I was happy to know that if I ever did need to secure the bag, I could. There's a double zip on both sides to make it easy for you to pull it. But yeah, I never used it. If you don't want to use it, you can actually also take the zipper off by Velcro. It's adhesive to the side of the purse organizer here, so very functional. Highly recommend. If you guys want to pick up a purse organizer from Samorga, you guys know that's like the only one that I use for all of my purses. I have a discount code down below for 20% off. I don't make any commission off of that. It just gives you guys 20% off of your purchase, since you guys ask all the time if I have discount codes, and I figured I would get one for you. So yeah, make sure you use that code to get a little bonus off when you make your purchase. Again, I don't make any sort of commission, or I don't benefit from it at all. It's just all for you guys. Anyway, so I do have this little purse insert in here that I put inside of my bag, and I actually used the purse insert to really help organize our paperwork when we were traveling, because right now traveling internationally is kind of a headache. You have to have all this paperwork done, such as like your negative PCR tests, vaccination records, passenger locator forms. So all of the purse organizer like compartments was used to fill that. I also slipped a little, I guess, like zipper pouch on the side here with all of our passports and extra paperwork for easy access when we were traveling to and from the airports. At one point, I did also put Peter's laptop into here too. It just on the side here, because it is large enough to put a 13-inch, I believe, and it was really easy to slide in and out, no issues at all. So I really liked it for that. But security wise, there is no enclosure on the top, and I would recommend getting a little purse organizer or putting all of your products into zippered up little bags when you put it into here. Overall, this bag is, like I said, quite heavy on its own, since it is a very hefty canvas, and once you start putting things into it, it does get heavier and heavier. I didn't carry this on my shoulder the whole time. That was not my intention to. My intention was to actually leave this on top of my carry-on, and even though I put stuff in here, it didn't weigh this down too much to the point where I couldn't carry it. My only issue that I had was that because there was all that extra weight sitting on top of my carry-on, it made it a little bit hard for me to push the mini luggage around, because the center of gravity was off balance, since those bags are designed with the intention of having all the weight at the bottom, not being distributed on the top, with an extra bag placed up there as well. So that's the only thing I did want to know. It does get a little bit heavy on its own, but you can obviously always place it on your carry-on luggage and get away with that. But keep in mind that that will make your experience pushing your carry-on luggage a little bit more difficult. Besides that, I did put it up on my shoulder a few times whenever I needed to walk faster, and I didn't want this to slow me down sitting on top of the carry-on. The one thing I would note is that, like I said, the canvas is very stiff, and these handles are also very, very stiff as well. If you accidentally overlap them on your shoulder like this, it will press in quite hard, and it's actually going to hurt. So I did have to rearrange it a couple times to make sure they were sitting side by side on my shoulder. The one thing I do like about the large size tote is that I can comfortably fit my arm through the top handles here, and it doesn't get tight. So if I do need to put on my shoulder for easy access and to free up my hands, I can do that comfortably. I don't know if the drop on the smaller tote bag affords you the same amount of space for you to be able to comfortably put your hand through, but I had no issues putting my arms through here. I'm tiny anyway, so it worked out really easily for me, and I could honestly just like walk around with my hands free. At other times, I did also put it in the crook of my elbow here, but over time, because these are such stiff handles and the bag is heavy when you have a full, it does start to hurt a little bit, so I didn't love that. And then there were times where I did carry it in my hand too. I tried to avoid carrying it in my hands as much as possible, especially while we were traveling, because I didn't want to get like my hands like oils and like dirt and grease all over the handles to stain it. After traveling for 18 days, when I came home, I did notice that the handles are a little bit like not as vibrant as the rest of the bag anymore. The blue is a little bit duller. The white embroidery has gotten like a little bit dirty, and I honestly think that's just from me carrying it around. We did walk too for 2.5 hours up like a beach strip in Portobanu, all the way to Marbella. So all the dust that accumulated there probably clung to this handle and made it dirty on its own. But nonetheless, it's really hard to tell unless you're looking at it personally up close in person, which is why I'm not showing it to you guys on camera, because it's really hard to pick up too. And that's one of the primary reasons why I was really glad that I got the darker bag and not the lighter one, because you would definitely see a lot more like brown markings on the top here if you had the lighter bag. Another thing I want to mention is that the handle does fray a little bit with wear and tear because it is all just embroidered canvas. So over time, as you use it and you start to like grab the handles a lot, it's gonna loosen up a lot of the stitching here. And I do see some slight fraying. It's hard for me to show you it on camera as well, but it's something I expected over time, so it's not anything that was too heartbroken for me. All in all, I don't know if I would continue using this as a travel bag just because we have a baby on the way, and I don't know how much more travel we are going to be able to do. I think we have scheduled currently into our calendar for a week in Banff at the end of September, and going to Banff, that's a little bit more of like a hiking experience and sightseeing, less of like a relaxing beach shopping destination. So I don't think I'm gonna bring this bag with me, to be very honest. It just doesn't suit the locale or the destination or the purpose of that trip. So Spain probably was the first and final trip for a while that I'll be using this bag as an actual proper travel tote bag before I convert it into a diaper bag, and then maybe down the road back into a travel bag again. The only other thing I did want to point out about this bag, and I've mentioned it a few times already, was the stiffness and the rigidity of the canvas. So this continues all the way down the piping of the sides here and on the base here. And one of the days that I actually brought this out with me to shop in Madrid, when Mel and I were doing our shopping day, I figured let's just bring this bag out all day and see how it fares and test it out. We were close to the Airbnb, so if I had any issues, I could always just walk back home and drop it off. So I carried this mainly over my shoulder, and that was a day that I really got to test out how it feels on my shoulder. For an extended period of time, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. It does get kind of tiring and it hurts a little bit if you carry it on your shoulder for too long. And by extended period of time, I mean that like we went shopping for like 8 hours. I don't recommend wearing this on your shoulder for 8 hours. I would have to take it off every single time we went into a store and rest it on a table or a chair just to give my shoulder a little bit of a break, or swapping it over to this shoulder just to like I said, give this shoulder a break and to work on this shoulder a little bit. So I definitely got a nice shoulder workout from using this bag when we were walking around shopping for 8 hours. But my biggest gripe with this bag is actually the piping on the base of it. So all along here, there's this like really thick piece of canvas that like gives the bag a lot of structure and I guess like character, which I don't mind. It helps to hold the bag in place and to keep it really firm. But this sits directly on my hip bone, and walking around for 8 hours straight in Madrid, this bag would constantly bang up against my hip, and actually by the end of the day, I had a bruise there. It wasn't a permanent bruise, it lasted for many days. I could just feel a bruise forming, and by the next morning, I had a little sore spot on my hip. So I wouldn't really recommend taking this bag out for a spin for 8 hours long just to go walking around and having it like hit up against you as you're walking, because it's not the most comfortable. I don't know anybody who does carry this bag for 8 hours long, so that definitely was my mistake there. But yes, just to let you know, that is the only real problem that I had with this bag. Overall, it held up really well. The material doesn't look like it got stained or anything. I actually shoved this underneath the front seat of me on all of my flights that we went on. I just had to kind of fold it down sideways like this and then crisscross these handles so that it would sit in place. It didn't get stained underneath any of the seats. I don't notice any like major staining on the white embroidery at all, so I'm really happy about that. And the only other thing is that when I traveled, I did turn the bag inside so that you wouldn't see Christian Dior like advertised outside, just because I wanted to avoid getting pickpocketed or targeted for anything. So it was just the back that was facing out here. I don't know if everybody is familiar with Dior and Toile de Jouy, so I felt like this would be a little bit more nondescript than literally having something that says Christian Dior in bold block print screaming, "Please come rob me." So yeah, that's something I did. I'd recommend that you can try that too if you want to be a little bit more cautious as you're traveling around. Granted, in Madrid, there were a lot of vendors selling fake Dior Book Totes on the streets anyways too. And I did see a lot of people walking around with replica bags. So I think at the end of the day, it's really hard to tell if somebody has a real bag or not unless you know the bag design intimately. So I think over there, because there were so many replicas in the street, it's hard to discern if your bag is real, and I felt a little bit safer like that, just because I felt that people just couldn't really identify if my bag was real or not, even though it is. So it's good from my side, because then I wouldn't get targeted, but also not great because there's replicas everywhere. Anyways, that was just my experience carrying this bag. I didn't run into any issues. I think it's great as a travel bag. We fit so much in here. I had that whole zip pouch with like our passports, paperwork and everything. I had a water bottle in here. This bag was actually filled full of snacks on all the flights. And then I was able to fit my little Louis Vuitton toiletry pouch 26 in here too, which I use as my everyday purse while we were in Spain. It slid in perfectly. I had Peter's laptop in here. There's so much stuff that you could put into this bag that I think it's a great investment if you are going to be traveling with it. It's nice and hefty and sturdy. It can hold a lot and it keeps its form over time. You just got to be careful to not stain it. And as I said, I would recommend getting a purse insert so that you can organize everything that's inside of it, or maybe get like a darker bag as well, so that if you are worried about staining, you don't have to be too concerned with it, because it's not going to show off a lot of damages if it's a little bit darker than one of the lighter bags. So I will definitely be converting this into a diaper bag now that the baby is on the way. And once I start using it as such, I will come back and let you guys know my thoughts on it and review the bag again as a diaper bag. And then hopefully one day we can convert this back into a travel tote so that I can take this little baby out and explore the world around with it. But she did get her time to shine in Spain. That was her first little official international trip. And I'm very excited I was able to actually put this bag to use as a travel tote like I originally intended before having to convert her over to baby purposes. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Let me know your thoughts on this one. And if you've ever had your own experience traveling with the Dior Book Tote, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, any pros and cons that you found, or if you have any advice as to how to maximize using your bag a little bit better, and also my bag too, because I'd love some tips and tricks to see if there's any better ways that I can actually functionally use this bag. All in all, I was pretty happy with the purchase. It's served its purpose, and now I am giving it a second lease in life, even though it just literally started by leaving the box right before we left with a different purpose. But yeah, I hope you guys found this video useful or helpful if you're currently contemplating if this is a worthwhile bag to bring with you on a trip. If you are traveling alone, I'd probably recommend against it so that you could have free hands. But if you're traveling with somebody, like I traveled with Peter, he was able to hold things for me if my hands were busy, or if you are bringing a little carry-on suitcase that you can rest this on top of, then I do think that this is a great bag for that. But otherwise, it's obviously not an everyday travel bag for everybody. My personal go-tos usually are backpacks, just because it can hold so much and keep my hands free. But I wanted to give this a try to see if it would stand up the test of traveling, and I think it definitely passed the test. So pretty happy with it. Took her around the world, and now she's back safe and sound, and I made my trip a really nice, smooth one. So very happy with this purchase, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to follow along on Instagram and TikTok if you guys want to see more of me, and make sure you guys are subscribed. That way you get notified every time I upload a brand new video. And welcome to the fam, to everybody who is a new subscriber. We're very happy to have you here, and I can't wait for you guys to join us along on our journey with baby, and for me to review this in a couple months down the road once I start using this as a diaper bag to let you know if it's good or not. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I will be back to see you in the next video. Love you. Bye.